You're betting for every job. A $30 value. Yours free every 50 plus the company comes with a full 10-year.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
30 seconds.
Hello.
Hello.
Man.
And
then I put the captions right here so you can see what they're saying as we're talking. Yeah.
Now, can they hear what I'm saying? Or?
Yeah, they can hear you right now. If you want to mute it, you just press right there. And then we'll go.
Item 2 of 15.
Okay.
What's up, cousin? Jared.
Hello.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Hey. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Great. Great.
There you go.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. My name is Evelyn Floyd, a friend of Clarice, and I'm trying to get used to this. Is my first time.
This is my first time as well.
Okay.
My name is Tavion Williams.
Okay.
And I am Jerry's cousin.
Press select to activate. Okay.
Yeah, we've just met.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I'm not familiar with the process, but Clarice is supposed to come on and probably introduce me to some of the people, so we can.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. I just recently did the test and got my results back, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah. Do you live in San Diego as well?
No, I live in San Jose, California.
Wow. Dang. Dang.
And I'm on the other side of the world in Ohio.
Oh,
Ohio?
okay.
Oh wow. Whereabouts in Ohio?
I'm right outside Columbus, Ohio.
Whoa. That's cool. Because I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Franklin County, but I moved and lived born and raised. Well, not born, but raised in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Well, I was born and raised in Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Cleveland, Ohio, yes.
I have a lot of family in Cleveland that I like.
Everybody does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, this is a part of the meeting. It's good that thank you all for joining, and this is where we it's part of the meet and greet section, and we also meet and greet each other, and we also check with the technicalities. Do we know is our audio, is our video working, that kind of thing. So we just get to know each other, just like the little chit chatting that you all are doing now.
Okay.
That's what makes it, like a family get together.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna cover a lot of topics, but it's good. It's an icebreaker. This is icebreaker time.
Yeah.
And you have much better success at this, Jerry, than I've been having. I've been trying to do this with one of my family lines as well, and I can't seem to motivate people to attend.
Well, there's a couple. Why do you think that's the case?
I have no idea.
When that doesn't happen, what it's important to keep doing what you're doing because it is the right thing to do. But you have to start. When I fish, if they're not in one spot, I go to another spot.
Yeah.
And I still do my reach out bait message. Keep doing that to some of your newer DNA matches, not necessarily ones that you know. And then
well, I could be picking a wrong day and time because I do mine on Saturday evenings, so that I may have to switch up days.
Well, don't. It's not the days. It's
okay.
It's the. You have to move. What you're doing is
the will.
You just have to reach out to different people. Don't count on the one base because look at all these people who are relatives of yours. And what I found over the years, people have came, they faded away, but I'm constantly reaching out to new DNA matches.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they're in groups, different activities, and they might have 4 or 5 different people who are interested in learning about their family, and then they contact someone else, and then they participate. So it's important that you be encouraged because you're doing the right thing.
Okay.
It's just that you have to reach out to different.
Yeah.
And
well, I get 2 people that come faithfully each time, but we're getting a lot accomplished. Yeah.
Well, what I do is here's a tip that I want to give, a tool that I use for each one of you. Every day when I am on my platform, I'm reaching out to other people. I'm reaching out to DNA matches. See, and some of the newer matches have a lot of enthusiasm. They want to learn about what we know, Denise.
Yeah.
And so, previously we used to have pictures. You remember in the summary, they had pictures of new DNA matches. You remember when they had the pictures in the summary?
Mm-hmm.
They were DNA matches, and they had the pictures, you see. And that same group now, they're on your homepage, they're under, you'll see them, they come up with new DNA matches.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you reach out to because they are your DNA matches and they're new to this. And with our experience, it's important for us to help them. And some of them, they match us with a small DNA match, but their relatives are a high match. And so that's what keeps the momentum going. So I just want to share that with you.
Okay, well, thank you. I won't be discouraged then. I'll keep giving it a shot.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the approach. And like it said in the good book, the harvest is great, the laborers are few. There's a lot of people out there that don't know their family history. And there's very few people who have the experience that we have to share it with them. And once we start connecting, they start reaching out to other people, and then you start building a relationship with them. As long as you're consistent and you're still here, whether I have, a few or many, uh, I still do what I do. I still do what God's allowed me to do. And what happens is I have a large number of members who are DNA relatives that they pretty much sit in the stands. You got to understand, we're like in a big stadium. They're in the stands, but we're on the field.
Yeah.
And so what happens is what we do here on the field during this time in our meetings, they might not participate, in the game, but they're watching it. And then when I send my recordings of the meetings and reach out to them, I have recordings of it. They get a chance to see what we discussed, and they participate. And some people are, more active, and some aren't. But they are they're in the stadium. They're just not on the field.
Okay.
Yes, and I'd like to add to that, like in my family case, I knew my mother and her children, my grandmother and her children, my great grandmother and their children, and I knew of the line above that. But recently, I've had family members reaching out to me that are in the line with my grandchildren and great grandchildren, and they don't know any of the history above me, and so they're wanting to know some of that. So I'm very interested in that, because so we can pass it down to like my great grandchildren. I've got, so it's very interesting now. And I think I'm about one of the oldest ones in my family line. My great grandparents had 19 children. My great grandparents had 9, living children, and my grandmother had 10. My mother had 8, and I had 6, and I got a daughter that's got 5, and so all of those people.
Yeah.
So, so we're trying to. Many of them we know, but the later generation will never know those unless we leave something of history for them, the ones above,
Yeah.
So this really is interesting to me.
I want to add to that too. I'm Frances. My mother knew everybody, and she grew up with everybody, and we knew who she was talking about. But, sometimes people keep secrets, or
yeah,
they don't tell you everything. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. They don't tell you everything, right?
You only know in part.
Yeah. So my mom was from Texas, and my grandmother was very proud of her town. My grandmother was from Tyler. So my grandmother would talk about Tyler, Tyler, Tyler. My mother would just say she was from Dallas. So when my mom passed, and we went to make arrangements, they said, well, where's your mother from? And we said, Dallas. And they said, that's like saying your mom's from Los Angeles, California, right? So they said, where in Dallas is your mom from? Because it's also a very big place. So we said, all we know is Dallas, right? And so they said, you guys are going to have to get some more information, because we can't get a death certificate for her until we know the exact place, the township.
Oh, wow. Really?
Right? Because, it's her place of birth, and we didn't have her birth certificate. So we had to go home and ask her cousin. And her cousin said, oh, you guys don't know? And she said, your mom was from Oak Cliff. And so we said, okay. And so my brother-in-law said, oh, Mama was from the ghetto, so that's why she didn't tell y'all where she was from, right? And so my mom didn't want any association with it, so she didn't tell us, And it is important to know all of those things, right? Because in every case, for future generations, for yeah, because at one point, maybe if we don't leave something behind, all of that stuff will be lost.
Yeah.
Of course. And it probably were not a lot of birth certificates way back, but some of them were in the census,
Yes.
records,
But all that information sometimes isn't correct. Sometimes it takes a lot of digging and finding to find that out, because especially when you get back to like the 1900s and stuff.
Yeah.
We were trying to also find out my great grandmother's first name, right? And we just called her Nanny. So everybody said her name's Nanny. And I said her name can't be Nanny because my grandmother was also Nanny. So it has to be something else. So we looked and looked, and we finally found out her name was Matilda. But before that, we found the name May. And so I thought, nah, I don't think it's May either. It just depends on when the census found and what they decide to tell them at that time. Or maybe, they don't tell them anything, right? And so we finally found out that her name was Matilda. And, everybody was surprised.
Okay.
Well, thank you for those stories.
You're welcome.
During this, would you please take a minute and introduce yourself and where you're from, who you're researching, where you live at, and what the purpose is of you conducting research, so that the people here can get a better idea of who's on the meeting and some of the surnames that you're searching, because they might have some of the same surnames of the people who are here, since most of us are related. Yeah, so we'll start with Davon. You'll be first, Denise, and then Francis, then Larry, Clarice, then Evelyn. So would you start off, Davon?
Okay, so my name is Tavion, but I'm on Davion's account, which is my brother. So
his twin brother.
Yes, we are twins, identical twins. But okay, so I say like I made an account back in November, but basically I did my DNA about last month in April, and I just got my results like 3 days ago. And me and Jerry, we matched. But basically, my goal for this whole like DNA thing was just like you guys were saying. I'm like a younger generation. I'm 19 years old, and I don't even know my dad's side or like the generations. Like I don't even know anything about that. So I just really wanted to like dig into that, and I really didn't know my DNA, who I was, like what made me, what my genetic build was. So I just wanted to know what that was and stuff like that. And so I just learned a lot throughout these 3 days, and I'm still learning. But that's basically, that was my goal, to just explore, find new family, and find what like my DNA was basically.
And where do you live?
I live in Warner Robins, Georgia, but I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
And his family that he's searching, they're from around the Detroit area, correct? On your father's side?
That is, they are from Detroit. They're from Cleveland, Columbus, and like that, places like that.
And I just met them last night. I had reached out to them, and they enthusiastically responded. And I've been helping them, showing them some of the basics, tools that we use to reconstruct our family. And one of the main things we need is patience. Isn't that right, young cousins?
Yes, sir.
But I tell you, they got a lot of energy. So, I have to tell them, hold it now. Pump your brakes. Come on in.
Hey, I mean,
We,
I'm
we
trying to
got
learn this stuff while I'm young because, trying to learn it while I'm young.
It's great to have you. Uh,
Thank
Denise, please.
Yes. My name is Denise. Maiden name is Hardin. Um, and Jarrett is my married name. I'm from Ohio. As we discussed earlier, I live just outside of Columbus, Ohio, in a town called Pickerington. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I've been doing family history research since 1988. And that started as a result of my father wanting to find his father's family. His father passed away at the age of 5. And so he grew up knowing his mother's side of the family very well, but didn't know much about his father's side of the family. So he began, he was a truck driver, so he could travel from coast to coast. And as he did so, he at least knew that both his parents were born in Caddo Parish, Louisiana. And he would constantly make stops there there's a truck stop there on Route 79. He would stop there every time he was in Caddo Parish, and he would talk to folks and he'd tell them who he was, and he'd ask them if they knew any Hardins, any Hunters. Those were the surnames of my grandfather and my grandmother. Finally, he met someone who knew and said, "Yeah, you're a cousin." And so he came back so excited and had so many names. I just started keeping track of everybody and building charts from that. Now, keep in mind, this is in 1988, so there were no computers. There was no ancestry at that particular time. So I just had everything on paper and keeping track of that. So every time he came back, he had some new names for me, and we figured out how they were related and built the tree that way. So over time, of course, with technology, I've been able to add, and create those trees. I now use Ancestry.com for a lot of my research, as well as Family Search for my research, because Family Search is free. Ancestry, there's only so much you can see, and if you don't pay. I also am a project leader for the U.S. Black Heritage Project on wikitree.com, and that also is a free site. Our particular project is focusing on helping African Americans identify their ancestors and connecting those ancestors with their descendants. So lately, I've been spending more of my time helping others rather than working on my tree, but still have a long ways to go to break down some of those brick walls. Thank you.
And she's humble. She's one of the administrators of WikiTree. She has a position there with that program, and it's an international program, and she's an administrative position. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Denise?
Yes, I'm a project leader for the U.S. Black Heritage Project, and again, we try to focus on encouraging African Americans to add their trees to WikiTree. It's a global tree, so being a global tree, you get to connect with people all over the world, and you have other genealogists and family historians at your disposal. I've met so many different genealogists throughout the country from working on WikiTree. So it's a pretty exciting thing.
Thank you, Denise.
Uh-huh.
Francis?
I am Francis. I live in Southern California. I've been doing this for about 6 years. I was looking for my father's side of the family. Everybody's from Texas, so the East Caney area. I'm looking for Nash's. Is my dad's side. I think there's Johnson's and many more. Um, my mom's side is Ross's and Hickman's um, and Lemons. So I started doing this on Ancestry.com to find out my ethnicity, and I didn't know that I was going to discover my biological father on this site. So I found my sisters. I've been connected with them for over 6 years, and it's been a really great experience for me. And I connected with Jerry and other cousins as well. And they all helped me to find family and find my, my.
Francis,
Yes.
could you tell them about when we first met and where you were at in your research,
Mm.
and what happened because of our relationship and the tools that you and I, worked on?
Yeah. So I didn't know my father growing up. And when I went on Ancestry.com, I, like Devon, got a lot of messages and contacts and people that wanted to help me to find my family. And so within a few hours, they hung up and they said, "Hey, we'll call you back." And so I thought, oh, okay, good luck. They're not going to help, they're not going to be able to find them because all of this, like Denise said, was before the internet. So I hung up and I got a call back, and there was all these people on the line, and it was a bunch of noise and stuff. And they said, "Hey, we have your cousin, your family on the line, your sisters." And so I was like, "What?" And so I couldn't believe it. Um, and so when we connected on the phone, two of my sisters were on the line, and my cousins had did a lot of research and used a lot of tools to find my family just for me, saying, "Hey, looks like I'm a Nash and not a Kavanaugh." So I had a lot of confusion. I didn't know, what to think or what to do or whatever. But they all helped me very much to find my family, my sisters on my dad's side. That these are people that I didn't even know. And so I was able to develop a relationship with them. I went to Texas to go visit my family. Um, I didn't have any clue on how to find all this stuff, but I started making phone calls and having conversations with people and continuing to have conversations and joining Jerry's, um, Zoom meetings and, looking and talking to my family and talking about people in the past, like my father's mother, my father's mother's mother, and all those people. I went to Texas, to East Caney, and I seen the grave sites and I talked to the elders. I met a lot of my family and had a lot of discussions, and it's been absolutely amazing. I still have a relationship with one of my sisters. The other two, they decided, it was too much for them and they didn't want to talk after 5 years, but I'm grateful that I had the time with them for those 5 years and I got to know who they are. Um, I know more about my father's family now than I ever did before. I met a lot of cousins, and, it's been a very beautiful thing. And I appreciate you, Jerry, for all your help.
Thank you, cuz
You're welcome.
it's a wonderful story. Larry, please. Larry Trice.
I had to unmute this thing. I'm pretty much all over the board with my research. I guess I got started when COVID hit. First time in my life I set my ass down. And I became a voracious reader. And I'm a septuagenarian. And learned a couple of years ago that my father did not father me. Um, I got with Grace. Uh, you know Grace.
Yes.
Anyway, the person I thought, but she got deeper than where I was in finding out the person that well, he's the grandfather, or he's the father of the person that we have the greatest
Connection.
percentage or whatever.
DNA
Anyway,
connection.
beg your pardon?
DNA connection.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have several first cousins in that line, and right now, I sent a DNA kit to uh, possibly my half brother,
Amen.
and I guess right now I'm waiting on that shit. But hey, like I said, I've been all over the board with um, my research and things, but currently I'm focusing more on my maternal great grandfather's Civil War record, the battles he was in, and also actually documenting that he was a free person of color. And I base that upon the third great grandson of who I believe was his brother, was a free person of color. He's in Virginia's census as a free person of color from 1820, you know, on. And the reason I base that is because I'm showing 100 center margins with the third great grandson of this man. And it turns out that this man's great grandfather and my great grandfather lived adjacent to each other in Mississippi, you know,
Amen.
but trying to document it, the effort because um, of the miscegenation laws in 1806 in Virginia, such that if you were born after 1806, you had to leave the state. Otherwise, you would revert to slavery within 12 months. So there it is. One brother was born in 1804 and the other one was born in 1807. Anyway, it's a journey.
Where do you live?
I'm in Vegas, but I was born and raised in St. Louis. And I'm researching people primarily out of Mississippi, Chickasaw and Lee County, Mississippi.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Clarice, please.
Hi, Jerry. Yes, I see my cousin made it on before I did. Evelyn, I didn't. She introduced herself, but I did hear her talking from San Jose. She is our matriarch of the family. I get all my information fill in from her, and I'm glad to get her connected here so we can go further. So we can pass this thing on. She says she has a good 25 years left. She's been saying that for 40 years. So we're tr- we're trying to get all this stuff together. Thank you, Evelyn, for showing up. Our family name is Brown with Newton and Brown. Um, we know a lot about the Newton side and the Brown side. There's some of the German connection, and on my DNA test I got back showed that it is 2% German in our family. So we have the stories. But my father's side of the family, I didn't really know those people. And it's the Collins, and they're from Texas. Jerry has connected me to some of my grandmother's, one of the marriages, the kids there, but I still got to connect with some of the Collins. We did meet one nephew. Actually, we didn't meet him, but he was in the Vietnam War, and